So I've been using the iPadOS beta for the last week, and while it's definitely really buggy right now, there are some huge improvements over iOS 12 that are going to change the way you use your iPad every day for the better. So here are my list of the top 5 best features in iPadOS right now. First, and most importantly to me, Safari is now becoming a real web browser. That's right, no more mobile sites here. My biggest issue with surfing the web on my iPad was that it would automatically give me the mobile version of a website. When I'm on a tablet, I want the full desktop version of a site, not the version of the site optimized for phones. With this much screen real estate, why would you want anything other than the full-fat version of a site? Well, you could sometimes force the desktop version of the site before. It was an extra step and didn't work so well most of the time. Log into Gmail, open up Google Docs, and start writing. Everything works seamlessly as it should. Next up is the floating keyboard and swipe text. With the 12.9-inch iPad Pro, it can sometimes become difficult and unwieldy to try and hold the device and type on the giant keyboard in the bottom half of the screen. Now, with a simple pinch, you can minimize the keyboard and place it where you like. This makes doing some basic browsing and searching for something to watch easier because you can use one hand. And what makes this feature even better is swipe text. Now, I know Android has had this for ages, but it's definitely a welcome addition here and works quite well. The third best feature, and what many will argue shouldn't even be included in a feature list because it should have been there right from the beginning, is the ability to plug in a flash drive or a hard drive and freely access the files as you please. Thank you, Apple. Why did it take you so long to include this? Simply plug in your storage device and it will show up in the Files app and you can access whatever is on there. Couldn't be any more simple. Fourth is the new Homescreen, and while it's not a huge change, it's still a nice improvement. You can now fit more apps on the home screen, and what's really new is that Today View is now on the home screen instead of having to swipe left to see it. It might not sound like much, but having your calendar, weather, or whatever widgets on the home screen just really brings anything you have coming up front and center. And the last best feature in iPadOS right now is bringing in mouse support. And while it doesn't work exactly like how you would expect a traditional mouse to work, I think it's still really going to improve speed and productivity. It's a little bit hidden away in the settings, but jump to Accessibility, Assistive Touch, turn it on, plug in your mouse, and it'll pop right up. It functions more like a finger touching a screen, so it takes some time getting used to. For example, while web browsing, you can't just use the scroll wheel to scroll up and down the web page. You need to click and drag up. Right-click brings up the shortcut menu, and pressing in the scroll wheel will bring you home. For text editing paired with a keyboard, I think this is going to be really useful. Two honorable mentions that didn't quite make the cut. First, dark mode, which has been a long time coming. I prefer to keep my iPad on this as it's much easier on the eyes, especially at night. And second, which is a little trivial, but the new volume animation is a nice touch. It's now on the top and out of the way, especially when you're watching something. The iPadOS beta is pretty great so far, a big improvement over iOS 12. The iPad is more functional than ever, and it allows you to do the things that you want to do easier than ever before. There is still some room for improvement, I think. One feature that I would really like to see is having the ability to have more than 2 faces for Face ID, or even just a whole new user account system where multiple people could have accounts on a single iPad. But I'm not going to hold my breath for either of these features. Anyway, that's it for me. As always, if you like what you see, bite that subscribe button. Until next time.